Hey everyone, in this tips and tricks video, I'm going to talk about using different whites in your painting. You might not think you need to add a lot of different whites to your palette. You might just be good with one white and that's good. But actually, I think having a different variety of whites is very important to your palette. A lot of people say you need a lot of blues and reds and yellows, which is true. For the most part, I like to limit my palette a little bit, but you want to have a couple shades of everything. But when it comes to whites, I like to have 4 different whites in my palette, especially for oil painting. Acrylic paints, I don't use 4 whites, I just use 3, but I'll talk about that here in a minute. For oil paints, the 2 major ones that I use are titanium white and zinc white. And there's one major difference between the 2. Titanium white is opaque, so you can't see through it. So if I were to paint over this mountain with titanium white, it would just cover up the mountain. You wouldn't see it anymore. It would look horrible. If I use zinc white and painted over the mountain, maybe I scrubbed a thin layer of zinc white over it, what it would do is create a haziness and you'd still see through it because zinc white is transparent. It has a lot of transparent qualities. So that way a dark color is going to show through it and you're going to still see it, and it'll just make it hazy or kind of give it that maybe misty look. So there's another reason why I choose different whites when mixing paint. So if I'm mixing blue for a sky and I want, so let's say I toned my canvas with burnt sienna and I want some of that burnt sienna feel to show through the blue to kind of give it that grayish look. What I would do is use zinc white with my blue to tint, because that would make the blue a little more transparent than if I use titanium white with the blue. It would make the blue more opaque, so you wouldn't see that burnt sienna showing through. So the transparent qualities of zinc white and the opaque qualities of titanium white are very important, especially when you're mixing paint. So if I wanted to make this mountain a lot more blue and give it a hazy look, but I didn't want to cover everything up, I would create a thin layer of zinc white and whatever blue I was using and haze over it to give it kind of that misty, hazy feel. If I used titanium white and tried the same thing, I would just wash everything out. So those are the big differences between titanium white and zinc white, and the same applies to acrylic paint. If you want to do different layers and washes, you want to use zinc white for the most part, and titanium white if you're covering things up, or if you want something really solid and you don't want anything showing through it. So a lot of times the underneath layers of things you'd use more titanium white, and then the glazing layers on top you'd use zinc white. Another thing is they're both kind of, in the middle when it comes to coolness or warmness. So adding titanium white to some colors are going to make them a little bit cooler, and same with zinc white. It's not really anything to do with the warmth, but that's where the other 2 colors come in. You have warm white and cool white, which is kind of obvious, right? Like what they stand for. The cool white kind of has a bluish hue to it, and the warm white kind of has a yellowish hue to it, but they're still very white, especially in comparison to other colors. So if I'm painting this mountain and I want some of this part back here, like the sky, to look further away, you can kind of use the idea that things that are further away are cooler and things that are closer are warmer. So I would use cool white when mixing in with the sky, and say I want the snow to look closer, I would use warm white or titanium white, because titanium white is a little bit warmer than the cool white. So by having these 4 different whites, you can really do a lot of different things with your other colors. Same with cool white mixing with colors. You can cool them down a little bit. You can warm up some, maybe some yellows with your warm white, or warm up maybe some of your blues. They almost might turn greenish, but it'd warm it up a little bit for different layers. So having a variety of whites is really important. It's something that you want to think about when adding to your palette. Same for acrylic. With acrylics, I don't really use cool white. I kind of create my own warm white with Naples yellow, and when it comes to acrylics, I don't really use the cool white. Can't tell you for sure why. I just find it's easier to make cool colors with acrylics, so I kind of avoid that. But just in recap, the 2 whites you want to have for sure are zinc white and titanium white. There's also flake white, which is kind of like the old lead white, and that is kind of in the middle of the two. So flake white will give you some transparency, but it's a little more solid than zinc white. So if you want one in the middle too, I don't use it because I can, depending on how much medium I add or how thick I make the paint, I can kind of get that middle ground. But if you want one in the middle, you can use flake white too. They say it's the most pure white actually, so that's up to you. But you want to have a variety of whites just so you can create a variety of tints, a variety of transparencies, and a variety of opaque colors. And you know, it's hard to make blue lighter without adding white to it, so having a variety of different whites to add to it is a major bonus. So I hope this tip was helpful for your painting adventures. If you found it helpful, hopefully you'll subscribe to my channel and share with your friends. Also, you can subscribe to my newsletter on my website. I've got the information down below. And on my website, I have a large variety of online painting lessons. Plus, I travel the country teaching painting workshops. So I might be coming to your area. So just check out my website if you're interested in that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.